Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Centers for Spiritual Living White Rock. My name is Tamara Rossander, and I'm the Spiritual Director here. And it is such a beautiful day to take this moment and this breath. Let's just drop in for a quick centering prayer of knowing that there is one life, one love, one divine presence. And that presence is operating in, through, and as each person here today. And each person who's listening further on, later on, knowing that that divine living spirit is all. It is the grass, it is the trees, it is each of us. So today I claim the qualities of this one, the joy, the wonder, the awe that is there. So it is with great gratitude for this teaching, for this community, for the unfoldment of CSL White Rock, that I release these words, the law of mind, knowing right action is already happening, and ask you to join me in saying, and so it is. And now I am delighted to introduce our wonderful musician today, Linda Kidder. Linda is an award-winning artist here in Vancouver. And her recent endeavors include songwriting with another artist, and their recordings are available on YouTube at Friday Night Release Party. We'll throw that in the chat for you. So please join me in welcoming Linda Kidder.
I don't know if you just heard that, but this is one of the songs that we wrote during COVID. I gotta give thanks to be thankful. I gotta give praise every single day. I gotta lift up all people. I gotta know my place in the human race. I gotta share to be given. I gotta sacrifice so I can be saved. I gotta live life to be living. I gotta say I'm lost so I can find my place. This is the new normal, radiating out by looking in. This is our new normal. We are standing at the start, so let us begin. I must forgive to be forgiven. I must surrender so that I might win. I must heal when I'm broken. I must hear when I listen. I must fight the need for violence. I must lose to prove that I am right. I must remember to forget things. I must love both dark and light. And this is the new normal, radiating out by looking in. This is our new normal. We are standing at the start, so let us begin. Love won't need salvation. Love should never need to lie. Love's always the answer to everything, so give it a try. I gotta give thanks to be thankful. I gotta give praise every single day. I gotta lift up all people. I gotta know my place in the human race. Oh, this is the new normal, radiating out by looking in. This is our new normal. We are standing at the start, So let us begin. It's normal, it's normal. Everything here is normal.
Thank you, Linda. That was wonderful. I can't wait to hear the other songs that you wrote while in quarantine. Thanks. So please feel free to put your contact information or anything about upcoming performances in the chat. So as we begin our gathering today, as settlers on this land, we are honored to live and operate on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people. We thank the First People for who continue to live on these lands and care for them, along with the waters and all that is above and below. CSL White Rock is an inclusive spiritual community and learning center. We teach spiritual principles and offer tools to use in all areas of life regularly and consistently. Our life flourishes and flows out of ease and grace when we practice these. Let's walk together on this spiritual path and walk each other home, and all the while transforming our lives and the lives of others. My name is Nicola Archibald. I'm your presider today, and I'm also a member of the board. Thank you for being here with us today.
Well, what a perfect song to start off our talk today in regards to you and me, we create society. Yeah, I was having a little bit of a struggle with this topic, and not that there was some of the points that they gave us to talk about just weren't landing for me. So I finally gave up and went, okay, I've got to work this in a way that's going to come across as who I am and authentically, and who our community is as well. And that's when this week, I had such a great experience, not once, but twice, of fabulous community and society, in the fact of White Rock, in that they put on those big concerts. I just randomly, my husband and I were sitting down at Crescent Beach and flipping through something, and hey, there's a concert going on. Off we race to Five Corners and get to see an ABBA tribute band and run into a couple of the members of our community here. And then the next night I got to hang out with some amazing people, and we went and participated in the White Rock Pride Society parade. And just the love that was outpouring from people waving at us, all the restaurants going down Marine Drive. It was really a touching experience. And I'm just proud to say that I'm part of this type of a community here in White Rock and South Surrey. It's just the outpouring of love was just, I don't know, I can't say enough about. I think I had a grin from ear to ear the whole time. And it was so fun to decorate the card, to decorate everything. So definitely take a look at our Facebook. I've posted some photos of what we did. So it was great. But that's the piece of here, of being in a spiritual community together, that we don't need to do anything, but to sustain ourselves, our communities, we need to expand and be acceptable, include diversity of the value systems that become from different multiple levels of people throughout. It is where we now can impart and attract and bring in others. It's not getting stuck in judging what I believe is right and maybe what somebody else might have a different belief or a different value. And that is okay. And that's the point of our spiritual community, that we're here to grow each other, that we're here to walk each other home. And that also the other principle is that principle is not bound by precedent. So meaning that what happened in the past, that was the past. We don't have to stay in being bound by that. We can make changes. And that brings me to the other principle that we'll talk about today, is that I'm always at choice. And so we have the three principles that I'm working off of today, and knowing that as I go through this, the affirmation for the week is, I'm a powerful catalyst for love. I am a powerful catalyst for love, as each one of you here are that powerful catalyst for love in your family, in your community, in the larger global society. And it's embodying that when we can take that in and know that how is we never know what we say or one kind gesture that we do, how it's going to impact somebody and how that might brighten their day. And I know being in that in the Pride ride, oh my goodness, that brightened my day. And I know there was so many people laughing along the streets that it brightened their day as well. So the one thing I was thinking about with this, that with what Ernest Holmes says, unity is the basis of all that there is. There is but one God, one mind, and one spirit, and one power. And when I embody myself in my thoughts, selfishly, I'm separating myself from that which I think would be my good. You may think this is a subtle thing and could not be the reason for so much trouble, but it's the foundation of most of our troubles. So I am unconsciously separating myself from my good when I step away from that. So where I want to bring myself in is remembering that truth of oneness, of being together, of the joy that is always there, and to look at the world through when I'm questioning and I'm having a difficulty, it's to stop and ask myself, how can I see the wonder right now? How can I see the wonder in this situation or this trouble that I may think that I'm having? And I really had a great experience of oneness and unity last week when I was away. I was down in Seabeck, Washington, at a beautiful retreat center. And I was listening to, I started into my spiritual path studying Edgar Cayce, which is a mystic that Ernest Holmes believes is one of the true mystics. And his teaching is more God-based and unity. But the thing is, unity meaning unity of the church, because he is unity, as what struck me is the message that he delivered. I listened to this little 94-year-old man who was a dynamo. So I'm like, and he just believed in oneness. He said that is the main thing, is oneness. And if we can embody that and know that truth of ourselves, that we are all connected and one with the one, then that is how. And then when we know that truth and we can do our work, do our meditation, do our prayer, whatever it is for us along this path, it's so important. And that led me down another little rabbit hole to looking up Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. So I listened to an interview with Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers, and what he talked about is following your bliss. So, and he talks about living joyfully in the sorrows of the world. Living joyfully in the sorrows of the world. And isn't that a case right now? There's a lot of sorrow in our life, in our worlds right now out there. So I found it kind of fascinating, because what he said is, when we work and save ourselves, that's when we save the world. Because it starts here. It starts when we do our own work. Because then again, like that rock throwing in the pond with the ripples, it goes out to who you don't know who. Maybe it's your loved one, your husband, your child, maybe your mother, father, or maybe it's a neighbor that you've mowed their lawn, or you've picked up some groceries, or a friend of yours who's had COVID, you've called and said, hey, can I pick up some groceries for you, or deliver them some flowers to cheer them up? We just don't know how that we can attach that. But when we show up and when we're alive, that is when the world becomes alive. It was interesting. He said, the world is a wasteland. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty negative and brutal. The world's a wasteland. And yet, though, he said, it's when we can move out of that and bring vitality to our life, then we can bring vitality to others. And we maybe will be a teacher, or we don't know what we can be to another person, but that brings into our bigger society. And it was interesting. I was thinking of society and what does society mean? Do you know there's in the dictionary, there's 13 definitions of society? I was like shocked. I was like, what do you mean? But I remember watching the movies of the 50s with high society and lower society. So the one that hit me is that society is an organized group of people associated together for religious, benevolent, cultural, scientific, political, patriotic, or other purposes. And it's also the body of human beings generally associated or viewed as members of a community. Those with whom one has companionship. And that's what I think our spiritual community is about, is that companionship. And that's where I went off track there, where I was talking about the oneness and in CBAC. That is what I found, that companionship, that being together and not having to have any airs about ourselves, and everybody just showed up authentically, where you would have, I mean, my son is 23 years old, so he comes and he does a skit. If you can imagine a 6'2" up dancing, this is just so out of his norm doing this skit. But it was lovely to see a different expression, a different way of being that he got to experience, just not caring what anybody else thought. He could just show up as him. I mean, he's much braver than I am. I didn't get up and do a skit. But I was cheering him on as he went through and made the changes that he did. And it was lovely to see. And the piece of it is that it's the family. It's the talk of how we are all each together, and we show up once a year, and it's like we've never been apart. We just start talking and joking and enjoying life throughout. So it is wonderful that we're able to do that and be part of something bigger than ourselves. And the other book that I'm reading right now is The Beloved Community by Jim Lockhart. And it is really an interesting book, and it talks about spiral dynamics, about where each person or communities are on the spiral, whether each level has a different color, and each color attached to it is a different area of being. So if we're blue, we may be more traditional. If we're orange, we may be more entrepreneurial. If we are green, we're more altruistic. So in a society, in a community, we have different people all on different levels of this beloved community. And it's working together and realizing that sometimes it's easy to make another feel not welcome, or maybe their beliefs are not, I guess, not welcomed or not appreciated, where it's important that we understand that everybody's on this journey, and that wherever we show up and however we are, it's okay. It is totally 100% fine. It was interesting. my dear mother was a little worried about me the other day because she goes, Tamara, I know you don't believe in God, and I'm really worried about you. And I went, what? What are you talking about? She goes, well, you don't believe in God. And I said, Mom, of course I believe in God. I just believe it a little differently. I believe I love how Edward Vilhoun said yesterday in his meditation, I believe in the living spirit. That energy that is operating, as I said earlier in our treatment, in, through, and as us. And Jade, you demonstrated that so beautifully in your meditation, claiming that joy, that wonder, that awe of who we are. And, it's important to remind ourselves that there is something bigger. It just might not look. And she said, well, but what if you're talking to somebody and you're helping them and they believe in God? And I said, Mom, that's okay. Everybody is allowed to believe whatever they believe. And it's embracing the allness and the diversity of life and the diversity of people. So when I can accept what else somebody else believes, then they can accept what I believe. We can start shifting the world and shifting what is going on all around us all the time. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm just chat. So when we practice the teaching of the beloved community, we're invited to embody love. Not in a solely individual manner, but in a collective manner. So imagine if we all collectively started to do prayer treatment for peace, for abundance, for love, how we can shift the world. And then it's that collectively treating, but then also moving our feet. And I think that's what we're starting to see here at CSL White Rock. We are collectively doing our individual work, and we are starting to see movement throughout, moving into the society, out into something bigger than just our little, 30, 35 people that we have here on Sunday mornings, and affecting others by showing up in different places like the White Rock Bride Ride, and or showing up doing a clothing sale. We're moving ourselves in that direction of being in service. As when we're in service, that is, I know for me, when my heart sings, and that goes back to Joseph Campbell again, following my bliss. So what is it that brings you joy? What is it that brings you that spark? And, as I said again, listening to my little 94-year-old dynamo talking about oneness and doing your work and practice, I asked him afterwards, because he has his own church and it closed during COVID. And I said, well, what, are you going to reopen your church? He goes, Tamara, I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do next. I think it's time to reinvent myself. He's 94 years old and looking at reinventing himself. I was like, wow, here I am at my tender age of whatever I am. And I know that's how I felt. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so that monkey mind of, oh, I'm too old to do this, starting this new chapter of my life, doing this next thing. But here he is, 94, and wanting to reinvent himself. And I think that's where we are here at CSL White Rock. We're ready to take that next step of reinventing ourselves. How do we want to show up in the world? How do we want to create our community, our society, and work towards doing that? So this week, I really encourage everyone to look at the world through a little bit of a different lens. And that lens is one of our main goals, is a world that works for everyone. So if we look at the world as a world that works for everyone, including ourselves, like start at home. What works for you? And then see how we can move it out into the greater. Even if it's just your neighbor this week, it's baby steps. We can each take a little baby step this week. And maybe it's being kind, or maybe it's buying somebody coffee. I don't know what it is for you, but tap into what it is. What brings you joy? What do you love? And then just remember that when things get tough, you can always turn to wonder and question, that you're always at choice, and that principle is not bound by precedent, and that we're all here together walking each other home. We're all here walking each other home. So that's why I loved the song that Linda chose. You just got a call and you've got a friend. Oh, per Clement. So lovely. I am just so grateful to be part of this loving, forgiving, fabulous community of CSL White Rock. I just feel truly blessed. Truly blessed. So you have your homework for the week. Look at life through a different lens. See what baby step you can do to bring that joy that you've discovered in yourself out into the world. I'll close us off with a prayer. Knowing that there is that one life, that one love, that living spirit. And that living spirit is open to receiving the good, open to being the good. It is good. That is all it is, because that is the living spirit is good. So knowing that that is good, I know that I am good, as each one of you are expressing the good as the one right here, right now, each having this human experience, knowing that we are all spirit and nothing outside of us needs to change to make us happy. Everything that we need is right here, right now, in this living present of the moment. And if there is confusion or fear, and as we turn, they say in treatment, to turn away from that, the thing is, it doesn't have to be, it can just be for that moment, to put down the confusion, to put down the fear, and just step into the truth of being, the truth of who you are, that magnificence. Because each one here and listening is magnificent. You are an expression of that one power, that one mind. And we are each connected through that. So today I claim this good, this knowing, this joy, the wonder, this community, and pulling it all together into love as we embody love. Just feel that for a minute. The love that is here. Imagine it going forward from the person next to you on Zoom in your little square. Just feel the love that is there. So today I bring that and live from this heart-centered place. So it is with great gratitude and joy that I release these words to the law of mind, knowing right action is already happening and we're moving forward in community together. I ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.
So moving on, the law of circulation is in constant movement, giving and receiving. The more good that is given, the more good that is received as a demonstration. This is how the law works. The richness and abundance of life naturally unfolds as our experience, and for this I am deeply grateful. If you are comfortable, I invite you to place your hand on your heart and take a breath of gratitude. When thinking of gratitude, I recognize the unlimited love and spiritual abundance that is available to all of us. As we continue to learn, to grow, and live by this beautiful teaching, we become more and more aware that we are living expressions of the divine and always divinely guided to love more and to be more. Life becomes richer and richer as our hearts open on our journey of self-discovery. With an open, loving heart, we give thanks for all the gifts that life continuously demonstrates in our lives. And so it is. If you wish, please join me in demonstrating gratitude by making a donation to CSL White Rock. Or if you choose to give regularly, please join me as a committed giver in the Committed Giving program. All information is available in the chat.